Hi, it's Joy with Enjoy It Healthy, and today I'm making, for 4th of July, a plant-based burger. Well, the bun is not vegan, but it is all dairy-free and meatless, of course. So I'm going to show you how to do that. First, I'm going to show you how to make the Ancient Grain buns with my Ancient Grain flour. It's a 1-for-1 replacement. Let's make the Ancient Grain buns, and while we're waiting for those to rise, we'll make our veggie burgers. So for these Ancient Grain hamburger buns, we are going to, it's really simple. We're going to start off with 2 tablespoons, this is a 2 tablespoon measure, of avocado oil in your mixer. Okay. And this is a 1/4 cup of local honey. We have a cup of warm water, filtered. A teaspoon of, I use pink Himalayan, but any kind of sea salt. 2 teaspoons of SAF Instant Yeast. 1 egg, and this is 3 cups of my Ancient Grain flour. So if you visit my website, you'll see how to get it and what's all that's in it. It's made of kamut and einkorn wheat, but we might not need all 3 cups. So we're going to start off with adding most of it. Okay, and with our dough hook, we're going to go in here and get this going. Once it kind of comes together, and it's going to be super sticky and soft, she can show you what it looks like. We're just going to add enough flour. Can you see that? We're just going to add enough flour so that the dough pulls away from the sides of the bowl. Let me get this back in here, and I'll do that. Okay, that ran for about 5 minutes on a medium speed with the dough hook, and you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but how it's kind of clean at the bottom there, so that's kind of what you want. And I ended up using an extra 1/4 cup of flour, so it depends on where you live, humidity in your house and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be approximately 3 cups. So now we have the sticky dough, and we are going to turn this into, let me hold it, put this away. We are going to turn this into 12 hamburger buns. So I cleaned the surface, but right before I started, and I'm going to put a little oil, this is avocado oil, on my surface. I know, it sounds kind of funny, or looks kind of funny, but it's actually kind of fun. You need oiled hands to deal with this dough because it's super sticky. Okay. So the easiest thing to do is to get this out onto your surface and have fun with it. And we're just going to divide this into 12 pieces. You can use a knife, or I like to use this bench scraper, and I'm just going to eyeball it. Just to show you quickly, you're going to take sort of the edges, right, and you want a smooth surface on the top, so you're going to just pull the edges underneath and have this little, like, smooth, round mushroom top. Okay, and then you're going to have our pans, 2 9x13 pans that I sprayed with a nonstick spray, but we're going to do that 6 in each pan. Here we have our 12 buns that we just tucked underneath, and we're going to just give them a pat down. You can see they don't look perfect, but that is perfectly fine. We're just gonna push them down. Now, if you wanted to make them smaller and kind of closer together, those would be dinner rolls. Same concept. And I even use this recipe to make cinnamon rolls. So usually I double this or even quadruple this recipe and make like half cinnamon rolls and half buns, or half cinnamon rolls and a quarter hamburger buns or hot dog buns or whatever. So here we go, and we're just gonna push those, flatten those out a little bit. Now with you make the dinner rolls, I would not flatten those out, but we're gonna do that. Then we are going to cover this with plastic wrap and let them rise for about an hour, and they will be ready to bake. So for our veggie burger, it's really sort of like a mushroom burger, but for our veggie burger, we're going to use a bunch of mushrooms and some other ingredients that are really yummy, and you won't believe how delicious this burger is. Okay, so I have 24 ounces, it's about 10 cups of a variety of mushrooms. So I have creminis, I have regular white button mushrooms and some shiitake mushrooms, and I'm just going to chop them up in my food processor into a fine mince, but not a paste. So we just get those in there. And you can do this in batches if you need to. So I have these in a kind of a fine mince, and I'm just adding, I did them in 3 batches, and I'm adding those mushrooms to my mixing bowl, and I'm going to be using the paddle attachment with the KitchenAid. I'm going to start adding some binding and flavoring ingredients. So this is a half a cup of bulgur wheat. It's organic, and I just took some hot water from the electric kettle and covered it and let it sit until it soaked it up. So we're going to put that in there. And then we have a quarter cup of nutritional yeast, and I would use one that is a really high quality. This one from it's called Nutritious, from Gloriously Vegan, is a great brand that I just recently discovered, but that's going to give some really good flavor. I have 3/4 of a cup of Vital wheat gluten. And half of an onion that I diced and sauteed in a pan, and I just put a little, like a tiny bit of oil, salt and pepper, and it's just a beautiful addition to this mix. And then I have some garlic, some fresh minced garlic. This is about 2 or I think 3 small cloves, something in there. If you like more, use more. And then to this garlic, I'm going to add a couple things. I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of miso paste. It's fermented white miso paste. And I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of cocoa aminos. You could use tamari or something else, but that's about 2 tablespoons. I'm going to use some Worcestershire sauce, a couple dashes of that, and a little liquid smoke. Now, a little bit goes a long way, so just a tiny bit of your liquid smoke. Okay. So I'm just going to take my baby whisk here and get that all, just so it evenly mixes in with the other ingredients. This is where all the flavor is happening right here. I'm going to pour that all in. I'm going to add a few cranks from the fresh black pepper. And with my paddle attachment, I'm going to get that all mixed in together. So I actually let that run for 4 minutes and I got it really well incorporated. And you would think that there's not enough liquid in there, but there really is. Okay, so now we're going to just form our patties. And that vital wheat gluten really gives it that sort of meaty texture. I'm going to try to make 12 burgers that match the size of the buns that I have. So I'm going to make those. And I like to make them pretty thin. Okay, so I've got my 12 patties and I separated them by a piece of wax paper because I'm going to cover this in plastic and I'm going to put it in the fridge for at least 30 minutes. You can keep it in there, you know, you can make ahead during the day and leave it in there for a couple hours if you want to, but it's got to kind of set up. Our Ancient Grain buns have risen and they're ready to go in a 350 degree preheated oven, and they'll go for about 20 minutes or so, just till they're a deep golden brown. So it depends on your oven, but I think mine takes about 20 minutes or so. Okay, we'll see you in a minute. So I just pulled them out of the oven. They're nice and golden brown. I'm just gonna take a little, this is vegan butter, but if you eat dairy, feel free to use regular butter. And I'm just going to kind of brush a little bit. Actually, it'd be easier with a brush, but I'm just gonna put a little bit of butter on the top of these, just to make them even more delicious. But they're soft on the inside and really have a great flavor using my Ancient Grain flour, replacement flour. So you can make these, if you don't have my Ancient Grain flour, you can make these with regular flour. The recipe will work. But again, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of my flour replacement, that it really works in any recipe. So, but this is so much more nutritious. So I really urge you to try my flour for any of your recipes. It works in everything. Okay, so I'm just gonna let these cool a little bit. We're gonna transfer them to a wire rack to completely cool before we cut them. You don't want to cut them right away. My veggie burgers have been just getting nice and firmed up and settled in the fridge. So I'm just gonna actually cook one. I'll cook the rest later, but just so you can see what it looks like when you cook it up. Now, these are vegan. I have a vegan cheese that I'm gonna put on top of it, and I'll assemble it as soon as my buns are cool and this is made. Alrighty, I cranked up the heat and I'm using my cast iron pan here that's nice and seasoned. I'm just going to use a little bit of avocado oil there. Get that going. You can see how hot that pan is. And then I'm just going to lay that on. Obviously you can do more than one at a time, but I'm just going to show you. I just flipped it over and you can see it's nicely browned and seared. And I'm just going to put my vegan cheese on top. My vegan cheese is melted and now it's time to put it on my bun. Okay, here it is. Ancient Grain bun and a plant-based burger. And I'm just going to doctor this up a little bit. Let's see, you know what, I made a spicy mayo, and I just put some Calabrian chilies, which I love. This is such one of my favorite ingredients. It's pretty spicy, with a vegan mayo. 2 ingredients, just whip that together, and it's this really yummy spicy mayo. Okay, a little bit of that on there, and some broccoli sprouts, always good. A little bit of, I chop up some tomatoes because sometimes those smaller ones are so much more flavorful than the big, to make a big slice. So those are some organic heirloom baby tomatoes. You know what? I'm going to put a few of my homemade pickles on here too. Can't beat homemade pickles. And a little bit of lettuce. Let's tear that up a little bit. Put that on top. That is a beautiful burger. Just to show you what that looks like. There you have it. You could fool a meat eater with that. For more information and for the ingredient amounts and everything, check out my website, enjoyedhealthy.com. I've got a link to purchase my Ancient Grain flour mixes. So I've got the one-for-one replacement. You can use it in any of your favorite recipes, and gives you that boost that you cannot get from all-purpose flour. Nutrition, protein, fiber, vitamins, minerals. I have a cookie mix and a pancake mix, so check them out.